my 3 cent on Gene Deal being, I wouldn't say upset, but he's giving his 3 cent on Ray J and Boosie. And I'm gonna say, uh, well, first off, we got. It's probably the first person I heard uh, consistent first person I heard, and the first person I heard consistently, like, tell the whole world that Diddy is not a good person, and that he has some bunch of things to answer for. And not only that, but um, warning future, you know what can happen to them, either through his firsthand experience or by way of other people's experiences that he heard of. But I'm not a, for what Diddy was getting convicted of, which had nothing to do with underage girls, which had nothing to do with, or children, should I say, had nothing to do with, what's that thing? Drugs in the baby oil, and all that stuff. He wasn't being put on charges for beating women, beating dudes. Kid Cudi's car, which wasn't exploded, was a Molotov cocktail. They made that seem like the car like blew, like effects and stuff like that, with CGI and all that stuff. I think what people are really tired of is like how the judicial system goes all out, above and beyond, to convict black people. I think that's why people are really celebrating. They're not celebrating because he got off on manipulating women and buying pussy and doing drugs, because he's convicted of drugging anybody either. He was just pretty much being convicted for being a nasty motherfucker. Beyond what Rick James meant when he said super freak, this shit was off the motherfucking them getting hit with a RICO. I don't recall Weinstein that's out there getting hit with RICOs. You know what I'm saying? And they could have. I didn't see the news show up in a helicopter while the raids was going down. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I didn't see bonds getting revoked because people are having too much fun and stuff like that. And it is what it is, bro. But it's just that simple fact of like these RICOs, that people keep getting hit with. I didn't hear how one of those NFL owners, when he was caught in a prostitution ring, I didn't hear him getting hit with the Mann Act. I didn't hear him losing his position. Bruce, what's happening? So, this whole boogeyman law of RICO is what people are really upset about, because it's not used in the proper way. It's used in a way to go after criminal enterprise people. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not going after the mafia or some big huge gang and stuff like that. Like what it was, which was what this was designed for. You're going after everyday individuals who happen to do commerce and cross state lines and conduct illegal activity, i.e., buying drugs for freak offs. I don't think that's what RICO was designed for. You know what I'm saying? That's like me now. Like distribution is like this, right? This is how fucked up distribution is. I can buy some weed, throw a party, and if I allow anybody to smoke my weed, I can get hit with distribution. Because I bought that weed in a state that is not legal, and I distribute it to people at my fucking party. Willing participants, consenting adults, whatever, is out the window. And that's whack. What's going on, Behold? Bruce said he was just going for the happy ending. Right. The Godfather of SoCal, Mac Michael. What's happening? RICO was designed for bringing down the whole organization, i.e. the mafia. That's what I'm saying, Bruce. Like it doesn't make any sense that out of all things they could have charged Diddy with, you know, that could have had him hook, line, and sinker. They chose to go the RICO route, and they lost it. They say the Feds got a 90% conviction rate, but what people don't realize is out of how many people that get convicted, I mean, how many people that get charged with RICO, how many people get off? Because there has to be a lot of people. There has to be a lot of organizations, entities, and people out there, because this dude just won against the Feds. And pretty much you had all these people online, whether or not it's real lawyers and prosecutors or whatever you want to call them. You had all these people out here saying that they knew more than anybody else about how the law works, and all these motherfuckers got it wrong. And I told folks, you could be an expert or whatever the case may be, but unless you in that courtroom day in and day out, you really don't know as much as what everybody else know. You know what I'm saying? And the way that they were updating the Diddy trial, you know, people in there walking out transcribing things and stuff like that, because you couldn't bring in, you know, cell phones and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't get the real gist of it, of the conversations that was going on in there. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to happen time and time again. But I'm not a fan of this RICO shit, unless it was actually like fucking unless it's actually organized crime. Not that you having a business and you just having freak. Like what is the organization? Like the freak off organization, the baby oil organization, like then they try to put it like, oh, since he was buying. They try to hit the angle that since they try to hit the angle of maybe he was using his label or his business's cards to buy the dope with. So that's what make it an organized crime. Like I don't know what on God-giring's earth that people be thinking about with these RICO charges. And this case if Diddy would have been charged with RICO, a lot of people out here could be charged with RICO. A lot of these rappers could be charged with that shit. A lot of these rich people could be charged with that shit. Because all it is two parties doing illegal activity across state lines. I mean, doing commerce, pretty much, right? Which the commerce happens to be illegal, but across state lines, because it has to have a monetary some type of monetary thing with it. But it doesn't mean, none of it in there is saying you got to make anything. You got to be making a profit. But it's stupid. It's stupid. And that's why they fucking lost. And that's why the prosecutor probably got fired and let go, because she lost the case that somebody fucking forced. You see what I'm saying? The prosecutor can do all they want to and stuff like that, but they still got to fucking orders. So I'm thinking that somebody thought it was a good idea to hit this guy with a RICO, to put all these charges in there, and I'm pretty sure that attorney, that prosecutor, probably even knew he was gonna get off because the case was weak. I thought the case was weak, but I always said it was my 3 cents, and I don't know too much about all the things. Behold said, get a gut feeling that the Diddy organization is associated with the Epstein organization. Why is Diddy still in jail? Diddy's still in jail. No, I don't think it is, because Epstein likes him young. Epstein like he likes the kiddos. You know, Epstein don't like adults. You know. Oh, Diddy, I think the reason why, this is my theory. The dude is gonna get time served. He's gonna get out in like October or something like that. And I think they said that both parties agreed to move the sentencing to like October or something like that. Why Diddy's team agreed with it, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that if he gets the time served, which and he does all of his time, then he gets no parole and stuff like that with stipulations, because as far as like the therapy and maybe community service, maybe they want him to take certain classes and stuff like that. This is just me, y'all. I think it's bullshit when they do people like that. I think it's bullshit. Like motherfuckers who smoke weed, you want them to take a stop smoking weed class. Fuck out of here. Like, what exactly that gonna do? As soon as they done with the class and done with everything, they smoking again. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see nothing wrong with weed. I think alcohol is worse than weed. And I think alcohol is even worse for you than weed. You know? And that's the reason why people keep reoffending, because you want to let them back into society, but you give them but you got all these things that they have to do, and they already, you know, some of these cats ain't got no money coming in, they had no money coming out, they have like no support system. You know what I'm saying? And it makes it seem like the way that they do that, they make people want to reoffend, because motherfuckers when they get out, they go hungry. Some of them go hungry. They ain't got nothing in their pockets. You know, they look at family members and friends to try to hold them down a little bit, but people can't be. But in this day and age, people ain't got that much money to be giving a grown-ass adult who chose to make a fucked up decision in their life that wound them in jail and wound them in the ever-revolving door of parole. You know what I'm saying? I forget what the other ones, it's parole, and you got the other one. I forget what it's called. But that's why I tell all my homies, man, do all your goddamn time. If it's an extra 6 months, do it. Because you're going to be right back in 2 months. Yeah, but I think Diddy getting off with time served. Because let's keep it real, bro. That Mann Act shit, right? That what he violated with the Mann Act, right? It's not like he's pimping. It's not like he was pimping. You know, he's just buying pussy. And I don't think the average Joe gets 5 years for buying pussy. Nah, he was buying diggling, right? Or buying pussy or diggling. The average Joe don't even get that. I'm talking about the second offender don't even get that. Don't get 5 years for buying pussy or diggling. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. And it's not like he was holding them against their fucking will. And what, you know what I'm saying? He might have put hands on them and shit like that. But from all I read, he never physically forced anybody to get down in the bedroom. He might have hit him with the psychological pimping and shit like that, but he never threatened anybody that they could prove. You know? It's like this whole Epstein thing, right? She got less time. Diddy was being charged with more time, 20-something plus years, right? And she got 20. Make that make sense. She got 20 for pimping out kids. Not hitting these grown ass adults with the pimping. She was gonna get less time than Diddy. And if you look at all the charges they had. And she's still, you see what I'm saying? And they still trying to get them, what, 5 and 5 and something else, 10 something years. She got 20. They still trying to, the max for them all is like 10 years. Make that fucking make sense. Motherfuckers like that should be under the motherfucking jail. Should be way down deep. Just forget about them. I would say the other one, but I'm not trying to get banned or sued or get threatened by somebody for using fucked up shit, saying fuck. You know, it's not fucked up, but these motherfuckers, you know, this whole pedophile shit is off the chain, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like you wanna. Some of these cats out here, they rather. You know what he said. With these Epstein files, something like, there's a hope it's gonna hurt people because their name is in there, and just because their name is in there doesn't mean they did anything. Yeah, that's true, but that's not a factor. That shouldn't even be a factor. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really cares about. It's not the fact that the client list that he has, because I'm pretty sure that list ain't nothing but a bunch of rich people that he does business with. But what I'm saying is, what's up with all these grown ass adults that you got them on video? I'm just saying, man, all this shit sounds fishy to me. All of it. Now I know the FBI out there is trying to make it seem like they did more than the last. They doing more than the last administration when it comes to catching pedos. But there's a lot of stuff that the last administration didn't fucking put out that I've heard about. You know what I'm saying? And the last administration FBI director wasn't all up on Twitter like you see everybody else right now. They weren't all up on fucking Twitter and shit like that, acting like Suge Knight all up in the videos. But I'm saying, man, I'm not a fan of of I'm not a fan of these RICO charges they've been putting on people. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna do it every single time. Don't do that shit because you trying to scare some people, because you're trying to rack up a whole bunch of charges with a whole bunch of time and use your badge to scare people that don't want to fucking be a witness, or you trying to scare them to plead guilty or something like that. You know, imagine how fucked up that is, right? Right? You minding your motherfucking business, and these motherfuckers come knock on your door and threaten you to participate in a court case that will destroy your whole life. Some things that you did in your past with old Diddy, you don't want nobody to know about that shit. And then they try to sit there. What they try to do? They try to make these witnesses secret witnesses and not known and all that shit. They probably could have had her show up remote and stuff like that, so nobody would know who she is. But these motherfuckers had to walk up in that courtroom, and guess what? Motherfuckers know who they is now, and I think they should sue. I think the government for not doing what they were supposed to do and protecting their identity, which they didn't. And on the reason why I'm saying I know they didn't, because people knew who that one chick is. I don't know, but he's not. That's the thing, is like, we could say that. I don't know if we can really say that they were both blackmailing, because they ain't been convicted of it. Like, it's unproven. They probably could have been blackmailing people, but you got to think about it though. If he was blackmailing people with these tapes and stuff like that, why didn't nobody? The tapes is out, so why didn't nobody come through and pull those charges? Why didn't he have no blackmail charges? Maybe who knows? Maybe because they didn't care. Maybe they didn't care about those charges. But that sucks, bro. Your whole life now. They're now, and everybody knows your motherfucking business. If you was doing it back in the days, you would. If you was a hold in, you it's still that wholeness is always gonna be in you. Probably looking to pop some beans. They probably looking to pop some beans to have a freak off right now. But yeah, I made this to say I don't agree with Gene Deal. You know, and I think Boosie and Ray J, I would assume that they're more happy that the person that Diddy got off of the RICO charge, because it's bullshit. And as far as women and stuff like that, that had nothing to do with the case. Well, they used it in the case to try to use it as what's that word called? They try to use them as elements to try to prove the kidnapping and all that shit. But that's not even the kidnapping, like, not even proven. You know, but Gene Deal, man, sometimes I think that dude just need to sit back and look at the overall big picture. Is that these RICO charges, they're predominantly used against who? Because if that's the case, Where's everybody else RICO charged that get caught up in these child porn rings and stuff like that? I don't hear them getting hit with RICOs. The last white person I heard to get hit with a RICO was probably like last year or the year before. Those what was they called? The crackers? Peckerwoods. Yeah, that gang called the Peckerwoods. That was the last white people I heard getting hit with a RICO. Other than that, but they was actually a fucking gang. I know they tried to hit YSL with the RICO and shit like that, but that's all they goddamn fucking fault. You know, they kind of did make it look like a fucking gang. You know what I'm saying? You know, and they weren't walking around there like they were upstanding citizens. And so, and they didn't, it's not like they had a whole bunch of non-law abiding felonious people around them. And that's why I be laughing at these cats, man. Like, and you can still be tough. You know what I'm saying? You can still be tough and rough and all that shit. He probably did, but I don't know if those I think he did, but I don't think they stuck. But you know, I think that's Fannie Willis. But Fannie Willis is known for using the RICO charges. She known for it. She known for doing that shit. You know, and that it is what it is, bro. You know, and people got mad about that, those RICO charges, but they didn't get mad about necessarily the RICO charge. They got mad because people were saying that they're using weaponizing the legal system against Trump. But then he goes and do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Puts his own trying to put his own attorney general and stuff like that. That's why his last one that they nominated didn't make it. Them judges wasn't gonna do that shit. Them judges was not gonna approve that shit. I mean, because you would think that, like, you would think somebody got to hold the line. You know what I'm saying? You would think when it comes to these judges, somebody got to hold the line and have and take it down to the letter of the law and how that person will use the law in good faith. You know, when it comes to the bar, as what they, you know, raise their right hand and all that shit for. But I don't think that lady was, bro. You know, I don't think a lot of them is. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna and it's evident. It's just straight up evident, bro. It's evident, and it's been evident for quite some time. But, you know, you can't tell people nothing these days, even though it's this smack in front of them, because, you know, people are allowed to believe and what they choose to believe in. But, you know, when it comes to suing CBS and CNN and all these cats, you know, that's when it starts hitting the gray area of censorship. The same thing that people were saying a long time ago, like, you know, with the whole Facebook and Twitter thing. And I understood what they were hitting at with the Facebook and Twitter thing, because at that time there was loads of misinformation, disinformation floating around. And still, even to this day, you would have to, you know, check and verify the information that you get on social media because there's too many people out there that's preying on other people to make money. Not and not just that, all these bot farms they have out there, all these fake accounts that's trying to manipulate people and to believing in a certain ideology. That's the reason why a lot of people around here are that's on social media that be on there like every motherfucking hour of the motherfucking day. That's the reason why a lot of them aren't that smart when it comes to current events. And I know Facebook and Twitter and all these platforms on social media are public places, but you ain't got to be there. And so to sue them, for wanting to run their house how they want to, is preposterous. Because none of us have to be there. Yeah, they come down, pre-download on your phone, but everybody chooses to set up an account. You know what I'm saying? So I just find it stupid. You don't want to follow the rules for these social media platforms, you get banned, you get striked. And like I said, a lot of this shit is disinformation. I know people still mad about the COVID shots and all that shit, but I keep trying to tell people died, bro. People died. And there's people out here that think that they know more than what some of these doctors know. And this is the reason why that Dr. Fauci dude ain't going to jail. And I keep trying to tell y'all that. Keep trying to tell folks that he's not going to jail. What is he going to go to jail for? Trying to save lives? He made the right decision in some cases, but if you was to give him a score, maybe he'll get a C. Maybe get a C just for effort, for trying. You know what I'm saying? But forcing people to take that shit that didn't need to take it, and even the verbiage in there didn't say that it would stop you from spreading COVID or stop you from getting COVID. It says showed signs. That's some of the verbiage they use of showed signs of lowering the spread of COVID. But then when these cats took the goddamn jab, they thought they had an S on their chest and were just walking around spreading this shit. They was all up in the club, the bars, sporting events, all kind of places. Because they felt like they took the jab that they couldn't spread it. But if they would have read the goddamn verbiage, it said showed signs. Nothing that they said in there said anything about 100%. Showed signs that it may decrease the spread of fucking COVID-19 by 25-30%. Bro. I didn't think that everybody had to take the jab, but I think that there are vulnerable classes out there that needed to take that motherfucker. And they didn't need motherfuckers spreading that shit and giving it to them either. So you had a thing. I think the main thing that they were worried about was spreading it, containing it, lowering the casualties. Because casualties doesn't just mean death; it just means like, you're hurt, you're down. And think that they had to do something. Now I don't think they did the best of jobs, but they had to do something, and people are still mad about that shit. The whole thing with the hospitals, people not being able to hold their hospitals on their last dying breath, think that was dumb. But at the beginning stages, nobody really knew how many people was going to, and how bad this was going to be, especially if the shit mutated to a point to where everybody was fucking fucked. They didn't know. And then look how many mutated strains you have for that shit. Things like 20, 30, 40 of the motherfuckers. You know? I'm just saying, y'all, I'm not I'm not I'm not sitting over here bashing on nobody for that shit, man. But there's a lot of mistakes that they made with that shit, man. You know. But that's what you get. And then, when you defund, take some money away from the CDC, you know, this is another thing you get. The whole purpose of the CDC and a lot of these entities is that, and the time comes that something happens, and it will happen, that we don't have to get ready because we already ready. That's what I thought it was really all about. I didn't think it was all about pissy matches. You know, one day it's we need to bring in Doge and find all of this fraud, waste, and abuse. Then the next minute, we got jets, we got multi-million-dollar airplanes, um, building all these rinky-dink, expensive ass shantytown detention facilities, going to Alcatraz. The concrete's falling apart of the buildings. Those bricks they put in there, they falling apart. That's holding the building up. They want to redo that. Like, you know how much money that it costs to helicopter and or ferry people in by boat back and forth? You know how much that it costs just to to tear everything out down, or most of it, to build it back up? It's not economical, but people think that shit is funny. They're happy with that. They're happy with that. You know how many abandoned buildings that they could fucking use? Abandoned buildings around here that they could fucking use? Put some bars on the windows and shit. Put a fence around it. There's abandoned buildings everywhere. Big ones too. Probably fit more people than that alligator Alcatraz. Then we got hurricane season. Then it's hot as shit. You know the heat index over there is probably like 102 right now. And they intense. You know that plastic mint boy and then swampland over there? The mosquitoes and no seams. Mosquitoes spreading diseases. It's damp all over. When it rains, it's damp in there. Boy, y'all just don't know, man. Some people think that shit was funny, thought it was a joke, and they thought they saw how much people love that shit, and they ran with it. And then you go and switch the Kennedy Center to your wife's name. Come on, bro. I'm just saying, man. All this shit don't make any sense to me, bro. I'm ranting now because I'm done talking about that Diddy shit. Unless y'all want to talk about some more with it, but I'm just ranting. Like, and then okay, you want to lower interest rates, right? Who is that gonna fucking benefit the most? You lower interest rates, property value goes up. Now who can afford the property value? Now who can afford it? They lowered the interest rates during COVID, remember? And what happened to the property value? It went up. Now who can afford that? The house was 130 and now the house is 160. Now who can afford that? I'm just saying, y'all, it's and then think about the feds, right? You want the feds to do what you want them to do instead of the feds doing their job, knowing their job, and trying to protect the economy. trying to protect the economy, because they're looking at everything. They're looking at multiple angles of that could be negative and that could be positive for the American people. But there's people out there that I guess know more than everybody else that just got here. They just got here on the scene. And wants it their way. You know, that's why I just be sitting back laughing, man, because this shit is not gonna be good. It's not gonna go well for nobody. Guarantee y'all. Y'all can say whatever y'all want about the end of this motherfucking year. Okay, I'll give you another one. Case in point, TKO. And whoever wants to come out with to amend the Muhammad Ali Act, to add something in there that's going to benefit them. It's not going to benefit the fighters. If anything, if they cared about, they don't need to amend the Muhammad Ali Act to start their own thing. But you see how fast that they were able to push legislation for boxing? You see how fast it is? If you got some money to slide somebody, to donate to somebody. See how fast that is? They didn't have to go around get signatures. They didn't have to go and change that award. You see how fast some money from some greedy ass motherfuckers. And the thing about it is, TKO is the same thing as UFC, and they're the most greediest motherfuckers around. Look how much they pay their fighters in the UFC, and wonder why all these UFC fighters want to fight a boxer. You know how stupid it is for John Jones to say, "Oh, I'm gonna unretire and come back to the UFC and fight somebody at the White House." You know how dumb that is. Some of these fighters are big enough that they don't need the UFC to put on their own fight and keep most of the lion's share. But they rather sit there and get $5-10 million while the UFC keeps 80. Make that fucking make sense. So these same greedy motherfuckers are trying to pass an amendment that fighters get to choose between two systems, but I guarantee you it's not going to work out. Because at some point, those fighters are going to be like, yeah, I pay. Yeah, I got it somewhere. They're going to leave them. All it takes is one promoter to whisper in their fucking ear, and they're gone. Because nobody wants to sit there and fight for free. And in today's society, everybody thinks that as soon as they get on TV, they got negotiating power, and they're not going to fight nobody until they get their first bag. They're going to fight a whole bunch of fucking bums until they can get their first fucking bag. Then they're going to hold off on the belts. I'm the big, I'm the A side. You got to bow down to me. Know your place. And all that shit. Start hoarding belts. Ducking fighters. You know, if anything, what they should have meant in boxing is that they need to make it a better way for these unknown fighters to get into the rankings. Instead of having this around for 5-6 years that you never heard of. You know, and it shouldn't be all about money, because these sanctioning bodies, they're not going to want to put anybody in there because they're going to want their bread. They're going to want their fucking bread. But maybe Marcelo Suleiman should be flying coach. Should be flying with the shouldn't be flying first class all the goddamn time. Maybe these conventions that they be having with the WBC and all these other ones shouldn't be in these grand hotels. Maybe they should cut down operating costs. Maybe they should start actually making these fighters fight. Maybe these sanctioning bodies should get together and make other fighters fight, so they can find more fans. So more fans can come into boxing, because that way it won't be all these lopsided ass motherfucking fights. You got some motherfuckers around here getting championship chance after chance after chance. How many championship opportunities did Dillian White get? Did them Liams get? Did Chisora get? And the list goes on and on. It seems like with some of these guys, some of these promoters, they always find a way to get them another shot after shot after shot after shot, while everybody else in that sanctioning body is in the gear in the rear waiting their goddamn turn. They got to mix that shit up. They got to weed. It's top 15 of the sanctioning body. Weed it the fuck out. Weed it the fuck out. Maybe these sanctioning bodies should have better matchmakers. Maybe they should be looking around for the brightest, the top competition, and forcing fighters to fight them motherfuckers. Because it ain't looking good. It's not looking good. TKO, Turkey Al Sheik, or TKO, Turkey Al Sheik, Bob Arum, Al Heyman, Salido, whoever the fuck it is, Edward Hearn, Fish Eyes, whoever the fuck it is not going to stop piracy. They need to understand that people just ain't got the fucking money. You know, whether it's the Zone, Prime, Netflix, or wherever the case may be, people just ain't got the money to be sitting there spending $75 plus a subscription fee 10 times a fucking year. You could try to do to pay $200-$300 a year, and you get all the pay-per-views and all. You could try that shit all the fuckers they want to. That shit ain't gonna work. 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 And if they really thought about the fans, maybe the pay-per-views should only be $20. And if they wanted to make it $75 or wherever the case may be, leave that to the fighters. Make them fucking fighters promote that motherfucker. Make them go city to city. Make them do interviews while they're not in fight camp, like Deontay Wilder. Make the motherfuckers do interviews. You know? Because it ain't looking good, bro. It ain't fucking looking good for boxing. It ain't been looking good for a very long motherfucking time. There's only a few fighters out there that's generating a lot of motherfucking money, but that's only for a few fights. There's only a few fights out there. for that shit. Everybody know who they want to see Anthony Joshua fight. Everybody know who they want to see Usyk fight, and it's not fucking Tyson Fury. Fuck that motherfucker. Let him wait. He the one who chose to retire to come back. He could get back in the queue. You know what I'm saying? And he could get back in the queue. Everybody, Joseph Parker, I said him. The Juggernaut. Everybody know who they want to see fight. Who he want to fight under somebody's undercard. Daniel Dubois, he just got his ass whooped, but people still want to see him fight somebody on somebody undercard. Tank Davis, Earl Spence, Crawford finally got the big one. You know what I'm saying? Then you keep bringing up these young cats that don't even know their way around the ring. They look good, but their competition that they fighting don't look good. But people know who they want to see them fight. But it ain't gonna really be happening, bro. And on that note, peace, y'all. See y'all later.